Japs just over there. They can't be more than 50 foot away from our position. Orders made to hold our ground and await the counter-attack. In November 1943, a new phase of the war in the Far East began, with formation of the Southeast Asia Command under Admiral Lord Louis Mountbatten. Previously, we would have fallen back when the Jap would have cut our lines of communication, with operations ceasing during the monsoon. Now, our policy is to stand firm and to rely on air supply if and when we are cut off, and to fight our way out and on through the harshest conditions. In March, we were informed that the Jap 15th Army had begun an advance against us at India's north-east frontier. This appears to forestall a planned invasion by us into Burma. Travelling on foot through the jungle, Jap intends to capture our supply bases on the Imphal plain and to cut the broad linking Dimphar with Imphal at the hill town of the village called Kohima. I knew it wouldn't be too long that we'd be thrown into the fire to try and stop the advance. It wasn't long that the order came down for us to move forward. The travel was long and endless. With Imphal in Jap hands, they will also be able to interrupt our air supplies to China. This location will also give a Jap base from which it can launch air attacks into India. On the 29th of March, Jap started their attack. My battalion at this time were 2,700 kilometres away in our training base in India, trying to complete our months of grueling jungle training. News was coming through. It was looking grim for the lads holding out at Imphal and Kohima. We reached positions just outside Kohima on the 28th of April. We were on the Dimphar highway. We received orders to mount a frontal assault on Kohima Ridge from Garrison Hill. 2 years prior, these types of attacks would have been unthinkable in the British mindset. Neither would our units have had the training for it or the confidence in our ability to accomplish it. A lot has changed in Singapore in '42. The attack was successful, but God, we paid for it with loss of life. The distance between our positions to the Jap is only about 50 or 60 yards. Last night, the Jap managed to breach our position on Garrison Hill near the cookhouse. Garrison Hill is cone-shaped with a small plateau that our battalion has been clinging on since we all arrived. Jap trenches are over the forward slopes and the surrounding high features just over there. Our companies are on the edge of the British position, and any type of movement in the day is difficult. This is due to sniper fire, shelling or grenades. The forward slope runs south and onto the Jap-held Kukis Piquet. After close to hand-to-hand fighting, we managed to fend them off. As the assault came towards my position, I was petrified. I couldn't stop shaking. The amount of Jap that overran my position looked like in their hundreds. They were screaming "Banzai" as they passed. I lay in the burrow of the trench. I held my breath, watching the Jap running past me. Those hours were the longest in my life. How they never saw me, I'll never know. Not long after my position was retaken by some of the lads, I then took part in retaking the ground lost. It was bloody hand-to-hand fighting. I was face-to-face, fighting for my life. Along with B and D companies, we crawled through the shallow, muddy trenches. We were making our way to take over the forward dugouts and slit trenches. We continued to be subjected to fire from snipers in the trees overlooking our area. The whole area is strewn with empty cartridge cases, ammo boxes, tins and abandoned kit. This was clearly debris from our and the previous fights, which we have not been able to clear up. My most lasting impression will live forever in the stench of decaying bodies, half buried or lying in the open between our lines. In some of the slit trenches in my own area, rotting bodies of Jap were being used to form protective parapets. Mercifully, lime has been available to us to make the task of us being there less tasteful. Of the live Jap, I could see none visible and no visible sign. Their forward position is only a few yards away, down the slope. By day, they must be staying underground, with only the odd occasional shot or grenade indicating where they were. Earlier this evening, 2 Curtis command planes dropped water and rations to us. We were on stand 2 in readiness for an attack when this happened. We've also had half a dozen Dakotas fly in ahead of us. They came up the valley, circle round us on the Garrison Hill, and then release coloured parachutes for our supplies. Of course, some would land in the Jap lines. Some would end up caught in the trees. Some of the lads would try and shoot through the paracord or the branches to release our precious cargo. Some loads are dropped without parachute. They consisted mainly of chloride of lime. This is intended to discourage the plagues of flies which are spreading in the dead bodies piled around our position. Water is rationed to 1 pint per person per day. Washing and shaving is now forbidden, but thank God there is a brew 3 times a day. On the hill, our space is so limited, there are dugouts, latrines, cookhouses and graves so close together it is almost impossible to dig anywhere without uncovering either a latrine or a grave. I've been told that some of the sick and wounded are to be evacuated via our narrowly held part of the Dimpar Road. Rumours are some supplies are also trying to come up this way too. I'm not holding my breath, and I think we'll have to rely on the drops. I just heard earlier that 2 Hurry bombers, which converted Hurricanes, have just bombed and strafed Kirkis PK. However, 2 bombs have landed on one of our positions on the hill. The town HQ and some of the lads from C Company were subjected to friendly fire by strafing. We are so close to Jap, the CSM or Company Sergeant Major has just come round to tell us. We are to launch another attack on Kirkis PK. Our company, as well as C Company, are to conduct a frontal attack from the north and with 2 DLI, Durham Light Infantry, with tanks pushing from the rear of our position. We've now got orders to move forward and ready to move out.